Salutations from the Six Side. This is Six Skill Combat, and we are cooking with tinfoil. Now, guys, I think we have a really fun episode this week, and I'm really happy that I have two of my online friends here. One is Flip Dad, and the other is Greg Fenji, and I will introduce them shortly. But before we get started in earnest, I want to share some big news that is good for this channel, and the people who are regular viewers, they know that we cover content beyond the various hobbies, especially during the Cooking with Tinfoil streams. But I'm pleased to say that I've been invited to the Nerdrotic channel to talk about Article 13 and the censorship, the impending censorship. And this is a topic I've been, sort of pushing for quite a while due to its importance. I mean, the internet is supposed to be a platform for everybody's voice, and the powers that be, the so-called garbage elite, they are now trying to snuff that voice out. And like the Big Lebowski said, that will not stand, man. So now, if you love your interwebs and your freedom, stay tuned for that stream. I hope you all join the Nerdrotic channel for that. And yeah, I just wanted to say, not to blow smoke up Gary's ass, Nerdrotic, but I really think it's a cool channel. The guy is really laid back, and he's a positive influence. He sort of analyzes the content, the good and the bad, but he never, crosses the line of trying to burn anyone. It's really cool. I think we're going to have a good stream. It's not going to be political, but it is going to be content creator related. So we're going to approach this whole thing from the point of view of the content creators. And yeah, I hope you guys are all there. Now, that said, to the people who watched our last Cooking with Tinfoil, I'm really sorry, but Greg and I were streaming directly from Satan's asshole. But I've done my best to fix the audio. I bought a new mic and all sort of stuff. So I think the next time we're going to be in the same room streaming together, it's going to be all good. Anyway, let me say hi to Greg, entrepreneur, follower of online content trends, and amateur gynecologist, Greg Benji.
Howdy, good people. Hi.
Yeah, I'm really glad we're going to do, let's say, a normal stream this time, and I think it's going to be fun. My second guest is none other than Flipped Out. Now, I've been supporting his channel from the start. He's a very funny guy. He got great content, great editing, great skits. And Flip, I wanted to ask you something, man, because I don't think you've actually hosted live streams yourself. And I was thinking, you could get a really good core crew together and do a steady streams or something. Can you expand a little bit on that, bro?
Yeah, actually, I did host one live stream with Odin. It's called The Flip Side, and you can find it on my channel. But the problem there, it lies with the fact that I'm in an apartment complex, and the way internet speeds work is when it comes in from the main line, much like plumbing, you get the strongest water pressure right at the first split, and at the 500th split, like the 500 units that are here, you're going to get a little bit worse signal. So
yeah. So start lagging and all that stuff. You think it's going to be hard to host it together with some other people or something? You think?
Absolutely. And what happened with the Flip Side stream that I did, it worked out okay. But on everyone else had a perfectly smooth ride. But on my end, the computer screen would freeze up, and then I had no audio. So I kept it open and I followed along with my tablet. And as soon as it popped up again on the computer, I'd interject it if I could, of course, as appropriately as I could be. Like, oh, by the way, I have a question. So it worked out here and there, and overall, it came out good enough to and replay. But
dude, but so you streamed with Odin because he's actually a pretty big YouTuber, isn't he?
Yes, sir.
How the hell did I miss that, man? Okay, I'm gonna, sorry about that. I apologize, but usually I follow all your content, so I'm actually kind of surprised. But yeah, no, I get your point, man. That's a bit of a shame. Technology,
No kidding. But it's funny. Right when you hit me up today, I was on the computer with AT&T and giving them a little bit of my mind. I was being polite because you catch more flies with honey So I went that route first.
Something
After we
I've
get on-
yet to learn.
Right, that might be possible. Six, you might need to read a book about that. But
Yeah.
uh,
Please, if anybody has any self-help books for reference, you can tell us in the chat.
right. But after this hangout today, which I'm very grateful to be on. Thank you for inviting me. After this, I plan on going the other route if I'm not getting the results I want, and me and Abu will have a different conversation. But
Oh yeah.
so I do plan on doing live streams. That is one of the reasons I was talking to AT&T, because I
Okay.
do want to expand upon that. So yeah.
Okay. Well, hey, that's cool, dude. And I'll just say, count me in. Because I think we always have a really good rapport. It's really funny. And like I said, I think you're a positive dude. And if I can be of assistance, just let me know.
Appreciate that, Six. I really do, man.
So anyway, guys, yeah, tonight was actually supposed to be a full Punisher stream. And yeah, I kind of invited all sorts of people in the hope that they had binge watched The Punisher just like I did. I invited Jess Oldfield actually, but he told me he didn't really watch the whole thing yet. So I also invited some other people, some of whom responded and some who didn't. But I will address that later on in the stream. And yeah, I actually made like 10 pages of notes to do a live stream about The Punisher. So I kind of do want to dip into that a little bit. But yeah, you guys, have you seen anything about season 2 of The Punisher?
I unfortunately didn't have the time yet to watch it, so I would be of a great help actually on this topic.
Did you watch season 1, Greg?
No.
Well, actually, it's more more sort of a monologue of what I thought of the whole season in general. But because someone I saw a comment online. Somebody said, "Oh, season 2 was a bloodbath," and I comment, "Yeah, it was a bloodbath and a shit show." Because it was. It was both things simultaneously. Did you watch any episodes, Flip?
Unfortunately, I have not. I do apologize. I'm lucky if I catch any TV anymore. So,
well, guys, in case you are planning on watching it, I guess I will have some spoilers here, because I do kind of want to recap the season for the people interested in my point of view. Now, before I give my verdict, I think John Bernthal, he's really a great Punisher. He's a great actor. I feel he's really invested in the character, and in my opinion, he really did his best. That said, season 2 is mediocre at best and fails the essence of the character at the story arc at worst. And you do get the feeling you're watching a Punisher show once the violence gets in, but the context of the story and the characters' motivations is really, really paper thin. It's a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of characters that are sort of useless. There's a bartender storyline that's in the first episode, never comes back. We have Amy, that's sort of the girl that the whole story revolves around. That's bloody annoying most of the time. There's only a couple of scenes where she sporadically is sympathetic. They bring Madani back, but there's way too much Madani and not enough Karen Page, who actually she joins one episode for a little bit. Yeah, I'm a real big fan of Karen Page, and yeah, and it's the whole thing as a whole. It's really anti-military and sort of anti-patriarchy. I think the writing. And then of course we have the Russo character who was sort of being built up to be the Jigsaw in last season. They sort of drag him back in, and I just don't get his motivation. I mean, it wasn't clear to me really why he killed the Punisher's family, and then in this second show, he sort of suffers from insomnia, and he starts killing again. And I think yeah, they could have done a lot more with the whole Jigsaw character. It was a bit of a shame. But anyway, if I have to give my verdict in earnest, Russo Jigsaw could have been a lot closer to the original character if they have made his scars worse. Because as it is, he just looked kind of like he cut himself shaving. It was really weird. The Shrink storyline was pointless and it dragged on and on. And in the end, the Russo demise was really weak and anticlimactic. So, all in all, mediocre series. Would not have been too bad were it not for the fact that this is most likely the series is going to get cancelled. So I don't think it's a good send off for the John Bernthal Punisher character. And I don't think fans expected or deserved this, which is a bit of a shame. It's a bit of a shame because again, I really I've done about 4 or 5 different 1/6 versions of this Punisher character, and I don't know, poop. You know, now the whole IP is going to go probably to the Disney streaming thing, and my whole idea is I think they kind of did that on purpose. Do like a really weak sort of final series so that they get rid of the IP. What do you guys think about that? It's all scheming.
Scheming?
Yeah,
You think that they're
corporate scheming. Because they want to sort of Disney is building up their streaming service. You know what I mean?
right?
So if they still have that contract with all the Daredevil, Punisher, Luke Cage, if all those IPs are still with Netflix, in essence, they're not going to build their own streaming service.
Oh, they put themselves in quite the pickle. That's for certain. They're gonna have to do a lot better because what they're doing so far is. I said it in one of my recent rants that the left hand isn't talking to the right hand. If one side of your company doesn't know what the other side's doing, there's gonna be issues. There's gonna be a lot of issues, and that's just
Well,
too bad because the Punisher. I mean, it looks like I've only seen the trailers, and I think they have a good choice for the actor. I can't remember his name from Walking
yeah,
Dead.
John Bernthal is John Bernthal, and I think he's the best Punisher. Yeah, I mean, did you guys see any of the movies? I think there was one. I forget. There was one with Dolph Lundgren.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, that's like he's a Swedish actor, I think.
I
And
saw one of them, but it wasn't with Dolph Lundgren.
there's another one with an American actor. I kind of forget his name now. And both that. Oh, and one. I think the one with the American actor was also with John Travolta.
Oh
It's
no!
really weird. Yeah, it's really a strange sort of circumstance, man. But
Is
yeah, I don't
is,
know.
is
No,
that the
sorry,
one where
Flip.
he has? Is that the one where he has to go up into this tall building, like really fight his way up to the top?
Yeah, I think it has something to do with Yakuza and sort of half ninja types. I don't know. But oh no, there was one that's called Punisher Warzone,
Yeah.
and that's the one where he has the bomb flak jacket on with the really cool skull,
Mhm.
and that's actually a good one. I think somebody should look up what actor that was because I did like that one. It was I actually used some of that footage for one of my 1/6 videos. So that's actually yeah, that's the Punisher Warzone. That's a really cool one as well, actually.
I can't think of him, but the guy who's an X-Men with the laser eye. Oh my God, what's his name? I can't remember. Yeah,
Ray Stevenson, Brett Newman says. Ray, I think that's the one. Brent, I just want to say, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Flip,
you're good.
but Brent, he's an awesome, awesome, awesome follower of this channel. He puts in a lot of effort to spread the good word, to spread the 6 skill combat gospel, and I do thank him, man. He's an awesome dude. But anyway, Greg, did you see any of the Punisher movies like before this series came
No,
out?
unfortunately, no. I feel a little bit handicapped. I cannot contribute to this Punisher topic actually. So
He's
I
coming to
do
get
need
you,
to do
man.
my homework.
I don't think I actually talked to you about this before, but like I said, the whole stream, I was gonna do like a 2-hour streamer regarding the Punisher, but kind of fell through, because nobody wants to talk to me. So anyway, guys, cooking with tinfoil. Have you got any good content you want to share with us tonight?
Well, actually, I see this whole new trend on YouTube. I don't know if you guys notice this, but this is the mud flood. Have you guys heard of it?
Oh yeah, you told you you said it was like a new flat Earth sort of thing going on,
Yes,
right?
this crazy conspiracy theory that in the 1800s there was supposedly this big mud flood, and supposedly it's the beginning of the new world order. and you see videos popping up lately, like the last months actually, and it's a whole interesting new narrative actually. And
How
YouTube
do you
literally
how do
is
you spell that, Greg?
it's MUDFLOOD, the mud flood.
Okay.
You should check it out. It's pretty darn interesting. And what I find really interesting is how all these conspiracy theories they they develop themselves on YouTube, and this is actually a new one. So it's yeah, this been catching my attention lately, actually.
So if you have to boil down the whole essence of the mud flap, the mud flap story, what is it? What does it boil down?
Muffler. No,
Mud flap.
now what I find really interesting how there is all these theories about how they falsify history and how our known history is false. And
Yeah, I think you did send me a link regarding something about World War II. I saw some sort of. I didn't actually get the chance to watch the thing because I was preparing for the stream. But what was
yeah,
that about? It had actually the cover that it had, the thumbnail is Der Adler, and that
yeah,
was the monthly magazine of the Luftwaffe. And you see this guy is standing in a sort of a field of bones. So it's actually quite sinister. Can you tell me something
yeah.
about that?
It is a quite sinister video actually, and yeah, it's talking again about this mud flood, and not only that, but have you guys heard about the Titanic conspiracy? How
Uh,
about all these bankers? They went down on the Titanic, and there's this theory that
with
they sank it on purpose to start
okay.
the Fed, yeah, the Federal Bank in America. You heard
Oh,
about it?
really?
Yeah, it's quite interesting. So we should be able to drop some links here. I'll wait. I'll see if I can drop the link in the chat.
It
Yeah,
seems
you
like
know, or you can just send me the links and I'll post them all in the video once the video
Cool. All right.
gets posted after the stream, so to speak. Yeah.
seems like there's a new conspiracy every now and again. I'm reading
Yeah,
about this mud flap.
the mud flood.
I know.
My friend,
So it says all evidence points to it erupting
no, actually,
600,000 years ago. That it blackened the sky. That there are healthy trees and forests in the current caldera older than that, and there was people living in the Midwest, and there would still be a crater surrounded by an obvious moonscape of ash. It's quite an extensive theory here.
I'm not
actually,
sure
you
if
know,
this is the same one actually.
yeah, because what that reminds me, I mean, the whole concept kind of reminds. Have you guys heard of the golem? You know,
No.
Yeah.
the original golem was sort of the first Adam in Jewish law. There was one person God created before He created Adam, and yeah, he put like half a soul in or something, and he turned into a monster. But the lore says that certain rabbis they can invoke the golem with a special sort of incantations, reciting from secret parts of the Torah. And yeah, I don't want the stream to get flagged, but yeah, it is sort of Jewish lore. The golem, the mud people. Actually, what they do, it's sort of a curse, So you
We're
invoke
getting
the
into
golem,
dangerous territory here.
cooking with tinfoil. Yeah, here we go. Haven't even started for half an hour, but anyway. So yeah, let's say the rabbi he has a sort of problem with someone. He invokes the golem, and he's like a mudman hitman. It's actually quite interesting.
Mm.
But anyway, I guess it has nothing to do with your
No.
with the mudflat people.
Mud
What
flap.
was that site you were reading from, Flip?
Reddit. It's just a bunch of people discussing it. One person goes on to say, I don't think there was a flood as we would think, but maybe some sort of global earthquake event. Most of the mud fossils and buried buildings look like they sunk into the ground instead of mud flowing around them. I hate to say it, but I'm more on the flood, but I believe that mud could have been an issue. Absolutely. But
Well, I think
Yeah.
all of these let's say mythologies, ancient stories, they all have a core of truth. I mean, like with the whole flood, some say the volcanic eruption in Santorini, that's a Greek island, that actually caused a huge tidal wave that destroyed all the coastal communities of the Minoans on Crete and stuff. And then, of course, this is the Mediterranean region, so this sort of got picked up by Zarathustrian scribes, and this eventually led to the biblical story of the flood. So my point is, I think in essence, all these sorts of stories, they do have a core of truth. But of course, in the olden days, we didn't have the internet, and things couldn't be recorded real time, and so it was like an oral tradition. I mean, and in some cultures this was even more problematic, because if you look at the ancient Celtic cultures, now the Celtic culture, they spanned from the British Isles all the way to Italy, France, the Alps, and this was a culture that existed for almost 4,000 years. And they didn't write anything down. It was all oral traditions, So you can imagine that these stories kind of evolve and grow into something, but stay true to the core of what they were actually trying to say in the first place. You guys dig what I mean or not?
Well,
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the Eridu Genesis of the Sumerian tablets, which goes all the way back to ancient Babylonia, the story of the Great Flood had its origins in Sumer, and it's you should look at something called the Epic of Atrahasis. I can't pronounce it.
Gesundheit.
But it's in the Sumerian tablets. The Sumerian tablets refer to the flood in almost exactly the way that the story of Noah goes in the Bible.
I see a chat by No Way Neophobic. I hope I said that correctly. And he says the floods found in every culture. In fact, even the oldest, a lot older than Christianity or the new religions. Yeah, it's true. That's exactly what we're talking about. Yeah,
exactly. The Sumerian tablets are the oldest known recording of human religion and history.
And just on a side note, I don't think it's really related to what we're talking to now, but the Christmas tree, the whole concept of the Christmas tree, is also Zarathustrian and Babylonian, because they had certain times of the year where they worshipped the pine tree, because the pine tree, it never loses its needles, so it's a symbol for longevity. And this was actually incorporated by Christianity. Christianity, what they did, they were like kind of like McDonald's franchises
Yeah.
of the old. They incorporated all the heathen mythologies and practices, and they kind of usurped them and made them their own. You know what I mean? So I also think that the actual birth date, like the Christmas as we celebrate it, is also actually a heathen calendar date, because supposedly Jesus' actual birthday was somewhere in September, if I'm not mistaken.
I thought
read
in
that
June
somewhere.
actually.
Oh, in June, yeah. Well, yeah, could be. No, could be. I don't know. But yeah.
No,
So
but I
anyway,
think they had to adopt the pagan the pagan traditions. Otherwise, they would revolt actually against the Christians. So I think they had to keep some traditions, and that day, 23rd of December, is actually Return of the Light. How it's the longest day of the year. So
okay,
I
yeah,
think they lumped it all together, and that's what I think.
yeah,
Well,
exactly.
in the Sumerian version, there are two brother gods, Enki and Enlil,
Hmm.
and the story of Noah is the story of Siu Sudra. It's pretty much the same story, and it's odd that throughout. I don't know who said this in the chat. Was it No Way Neophobic? But it goes to almost every single culture has like
Yeah,
a book or a something that involves the flood.
exactly. And even cultures that wouldn't have contact with one another because they were on different continents, actually. So that's also very interesting, I find.
Yeah, and in different time periods, Greg.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Interesting. Yeah, I'm very interested in that ancient history of an ancient and ancient advanced cultures actually. So this has my interest lately. I have to say it's very interesting.
Greg, do you have any cool Atlantis theories, actually?
Now, actually, I want to ask you a question. What do you know about the Mycenaean culture? I think they predated the Greek culture actually.
Yeah, they were the first Greek culture, and they were sort of overrun by other tribes from the east. So after that whole flood sort of episode,
Hmm.
yeah, the new culture, what we call the sort of ancient Greeks, that was a different tribe from the Mycenaeans. And the way I figured it, I think Plato also has this whole floods and mythology somewhere in his lore that the whole Atlantis thing is actually based on the decline of the Mycenaean culture
That's what
because
I read lately, actually. That was
actually
referring to the
that's
Mycenaean culture. Yeah.
guys they had commerce, they had a lot of ships. They actually did commerce both with the north and the east. They went everywhere, so they were very affluent, you know what I mean. And from one moment to the next they were all gone. It was all done. So yeah, the only way that can happen is by some sort of cataclysmic event.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a funny story. I have been in Santorini, and Santorini is sort of in the middle of the Aegean Sea. It takes you about 8 hours by boat, getting from Athens, the Piraeus harbor, to get to Santorini. And it's a beautiful island. It's mountainous and sort of green with volcanic beaches. But there's a giant hole in the middle. So
Yeah.
yeah, this is actually this is a scientific fact that at a certain point during this Mycenaean era, the whole of Santorini sort of exploded.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can imagine. I mean, we still talk about the what do we call the tsunami that happened in Indonesia and stuff, but this time was a lot worse. This was a lot bigger, and like I said, the whole coastal regions they were completely wiped out. So
Is
it's kind
Santorini actually, was that the ancient city of the Mycenaean culture, actually? What's now called Santorini or not?
I don't know. It was part of the Mycenaean culture, but I think the capital, so to speak, was on Crete.
Mm,
And I kind
okay.
of forget. You still have this temple that's really well preserved on Crete. I'm gonna have to look that up. I have to get back to you on that one. But yeah, it's very interesting. And then, so let's say the Greeks, the tribes that came in, they were very warlike because the Mycenaeans they were kind of fruity. They liked spending their money and eating grapes and making music and painting and whatever. And then the Greeks came in and they had these boar tusks, so armor made entirely by boar tusks, helmets, chest plates. It's
Cool.
insane. So that's cool stuff. Yeah.
You have a lot of knowledge of the ancient Greek culture, haven't you? I think you're pretty educated on it.
Well, actually, I'm sort of a jack of all trade and a master of fuck all. Call it. But yeah, no, I do know a little bit about. Well, actually, it's more like history. I
Hmm.
I approach everything through the lens of history, be it
Hmm.
recent history or ancient history. I think all the things that we go through, it all goes in waves. You have periods of cultural apathy, and then you have periods of cultural self awareness. All our current day problems, I think they stem from yeah period of cultural apathy. My
Hmm.
2 cents.
Yeah. And do you think that history maybe is rewritten in the course of history? That's something I'm quite fascinated by.
Correct. History and current events, they're constantly being
Yeah.
rewritten.
Hmm.
It's all revisionist history. I mean,
Yeah.
just look at what they're doing. Something mundane as Star Trek. Star
Hmm.
Trek has 40 years of canon, all these characters that have been written out, books, comics, you name it, and then the IP gets bought up by a certain company, and they put some asshole into it,
Hmm.
and he just yeah he destroys everything. So that's revisionism, but that also happens with world events. I mean,
Hmm.
I think you kind of wanted to talk, and it's kind of dangerous. We're gonna get flagged again.
Don't mention the word.
Don't mention the war, and don't mention any rabbis. Ah, shit. No, the Maga kid. Flip, did you hear that story about the Maga kid who kind of got bullied by uh, an Indian guy, and it was they said he was a Nazi and this and that, and then Caffrey Griffin wanted him dead and whatever. Did you hear anything about that, Flip?
Yeah, they had to apologize.
Yeah, what was really interesting, they had this guy, this Nathan Phillips. They did an interview on ABC News. I actually saw it today, and he stick to his story that that the kids were actually enclosing him. So I thought it was quite interesting because so many videos
Yeah, the
have
whole
popped
film.
up.
different,
What?
the whole film thing was filmed from different angles, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was filmed from different angles, and it's obviously that the kids were not enclosing him. He was actually approaching the kids, and but he is still sticking to his narrative. So yeah, once again, very interesting.
Actually, the latest news that I heard is that the Native American, and God bless the Native Americans, because they sure had it rough, but he wasn't a Vietnam veteran at all, and that
Hmm.
was just sort of a concocted story, maybe not by him, by with the media involved.
Hmm.
So it's a case of stolen valor by proxy, and how
Yeah,
messed up is
yeah,
that?
he
Yeah, talk
talked about this actually in the interview, and he said that he didn't go to Vietnam, but he was stationed in America, but he didn't go to Vietnam. He kind of debunked that one
but
actually.
he could have gone to Vietnam. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so the way I saw it, I mean, these kids, they were Catholic school kids. They went to a pro-life protest, and they got bullied by certain elements, and then the Indian joined in. And I didn't think they were that belligerent. They were just kind of smirking and being obnoxious. But
Hmm.
I think talking about revisionism, the mainstream media, they saw this. You have all these white kids, these ashy white kids wearing MAGA hats, and that's the perfect racist narrative. And
Exactly.
that's kind of what they did. And every time lately, in the last couple of years, every time this stuff happens, uh, you know, it gets debunked, and then I never get an apology from anyone. They never retract stories. Flip, what do
No,
you think about this, man? Are you MAGA all the way?
MAGA? Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Good
Make
stuff, man.
America great again, baby. Yeah,
Make it great, man.
absolutely.
Make it great. And while you're at it, make Europe great again as well.
Hey, hey,
Stretch it
I'm on
out,
board
man.
with that too, brother. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, actually, I do kind of want to chip in. I mean, sure, here on Cooking with Tinfoil, we address anything. I mean, a lot of channels, they don't want to go political or, it's all in good spirits, but I just want to say, I think President Trump, he gets a really bad rep. I mean, this guy, they call him racist and Nazi, but he actually he poured millions into funds for let's say urban black kids, uh, persons of certain social economic status, to get them to college and whatever. And he was nominated for these things. He got awards, and now all of a sudden. He's the president of sort of an opposing political ideology. Now all of a sudden he's the devil. I think judge the man by his marriage. And just like with Obama, I was really enthusiastic when Obama got elected because I thought, okay, I did believe in stuff that could change, but everything gets bogged down in that whole swamp that is, I guess it is, what do you call it? The shadow governments and the globalist agenda, and you can be as good as an orator as you can be, but try to get out of that swamp. What do you guys think about that, man? I'm gonna
well, I
leave my
think I have one line. It's different presidents, same wars. So they change presidents, but they're still fighting the same wars, kind of. That's what I think. I think it's one big swamp actually on the left and the right. It's a left and a right wing swamp. Swamp. That's what I think.
and Trump is the outsider, actually. So they all hate him. And I mean, come on, the guy, he got North Korea to get to the negotiation table, and that's something that's never happened in 50 years. He's
Hmm.
pulling out of Syria. He's pulling out of Afghanistan. By the way, U.S. is pulling out of Afghanistan. Afghanistan is not pregnant, so that's good news.
Hey,
But anyway, you
speaking
know,
of,
yeah,
go ahead.
sorry, no,
Speaking
sorry.
of, speaking of sex, I have a porn star name generator right here,
Ooh,
and I put in 6 scale combat, and let's see what happens. Your porn name is Slappy Quickie. Greg,
I'm
I
gonna
don't.
write it down. Oh yeah, this is
Greg,
gonna be my
Yeah, what
t-shirt.
is it?
Greg, you are Pud Cream.
Yeah, that's me, baby.
And I am Buster Nasty, apparently.
That's a good one.
You already had that, Nick, so it doesn't really.
What's weird is I put my name in like the longer version, like Christopher, and it comes up Buster Nasty, but the shorter one is Ricky Nut. I don't know why. Uh, so yeah, go on. Didn't mean to
Hold
interrupt.
on,
You're
guys.
pulling out of
I
Afghanistan.
have to write something down in the chat. You know, I'm an old Generation X guy. I cannot do two things at the same time. So, can you guys sort of expand on what you were talking about so I can write the chat?
I want to say this. I'm not quite sure I understand this whole controversy with the students and the Indian. I'm a little mixed up on it, and I'm trying to go over it here on my tablet. So it looks like everyone's kind of at fault here. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. But can you elaborate on exactly what happened for myself and maybe anyone else out there?
Well, actually, what I saw, there was first the video that went viral was a very short clip of the Catholic kid standing in the way of the Indian, but that was actually not true. When you see longer videos, you see that he is approaching the kid actually, and yeah. But what's so weird about it that there was what I said before. There was an interview on the ABC News, and he was still sticking to the same narrative. So there's a lot of controversy about the media just sticking to like the narrative that has already been debunked that the kids were harassing like the Indian guy.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. They never retract stuff. You know, I mean, they just spew this bile, you know, this imaginary bile all over us, and they never retract anything. You know, and then
Exactly. And they're
thank,
still sticking to the same story. Yeah.
thankfully we have the internet. You know, and any sane person he takes an X number of info streams, and you kind of make up your own mind up of what is actually the truth in the middle. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
that's kind of I do kind of want to return just a little bit. Just want to mention back to the Article 13 stuff, because that whole censorship initiative, it means we're just going to have the official MSM info streams and the official governmental streams in Europe, you know, and
Mhm.
that's never good, you know, that's never good. But anyway, that was my. I want to ask Flip one thing.
Yeah.
Flip, the current situation in the states. Do you think with the whole, the political ideological divide, where's this heading? Some people are saying you guys are heading towards some sort of cold, low intensity civil war. What do you think about this?
Oh, I would disagree with that. Uh, I mean, I walk outside. I drive to the store. I'm at Quick Trip. Say, well, you don't know what that is, but it's a gas station near me. I walk in. I hold the door open for a young lady, and this gay guy jumps in front of her, and like nobody even says thank you to me. And I guess I'm just that white privileged asshole who held the door open for you.
Sounds
And
like male masculinity to me, or toxic masculinity.
yeah, and
Sounds like.
this is in rural Lawrenceville, Buford, Georgia. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the Bible Belt area of the United States, and you still get it. You still get treated that way, and it's really strange. For the longest time, I couldn't even get work, and I felt like it was because I was 40
Yeah.
and white. And I know that's weird to
Yeah.
say,
Now,
but you
can I
need
just
sense.
interrupt you for a little bit? If there's one form of discrimination and racism that's true, that's age discrimination, because it doesn't matter how skilled you are. If you over a certain threshold age-wise, nobody's going to hire you because you just cost too much. You know what I mean?
Sure,
At
absolutely,
least,
but you're also freaking worth it. That's the difference.
Yeah.
You know
Exactly.
you're not going to go be sitting over there on the side of the cubicle trying to dick around with your tablet looking at porn. You're
Yeah.
going to get your job done. You might even be a
Exactly.
little irritated, but at least you're going to get it done right because
Yeah.
we're grown
well,
men here.
I'm
But
a bit of
I
a
don't.
lazy specimen. I do endorse dicking around as much as you can get away with, you know. But that's a side
Hey
note.
guys, I have to go. I wish you all a good night and take care.
All right,
All
take
right,
care,
Greg.
Greg.
All right. Bye.
Thank you for joining, man. It's really
Bye.
cool. Thanks. All right, Flip. So I guess that's just you and me. You want to keep going for about another 15, 20 minutes, something? Is that
Yeah,
okay?
man, I'm good. Let's just ride the flow. It's all good.
So anyway, what we were talking about, current climate in the U.S. I think it's really, you know, the polarization of society has gone so far, you know, and I think in the '90s, in the '80s and '90s, both sides of the spectrum they kind of met in the middle, but through let's say adjutant agents on both sides were just kind of being driven to opposite sides more and more, you know. And I mean, like I said, with the Maga kid, that is actually kind of a funny story because Kathy Griffin, she said, you know, somebody should dox him, somebody should punch the kid. This is a kid, you know. I
The
mean,
kid?
let,
Yeah,
let's
I
say
heard
he
about that.
really is a Nazi. I mean, how old can he be? 16? Don't you think he would rather he was better suited for a good talk instead of a good beating? I mean,
I'll tell
it's
you.
just
I'll tell you what they need is the media stop needs to stop, and the liberal leftist agenda needs to stop in our school in America, because that's what they're teaching these kids. They're teaching them that bullying isn't right, but then again, neither is trying to be number one. Everyone gets a fucking participation trophy.
well,
So
actually, the educational system that is a whole entire stream. That might even be a week's worth of streams,
sure.
because you should look this up. This all stems from the Frankfurter School. These are sort of neo-Marxists that came to the U.S. in the 1950s, and what they did was, yeah, you know, join, influence, usurp mainstream media, the educational system, and politics.
Well,
And it's all based on identity politics. But you know, the thing is with identity politics, if you drive this all the way to the end, everybody's a special group, and then nobody's a special group. And that's exactly what socialism is. It's the equal spreading of poverty instead of the potential of, you know, getting any sort of leverage in life. You know what I mean?
yes, and how can
Oh,
you push this stuff into a child's mind on the TV with the commercials, on the TV with the news, in the school with the school system, and not expect this child to feel like, hey, this doesn't feel right. It doesn't seem right. And he or she wants to resist it. And then they have someone in office who is the president of the United States. I was always taught up, it doesn't matter if they're black or white. It doesn't matter
exactly.
if they are liberal or conservative. It doesn't matter who they are. That's your president, man. That's your president. Now you don't have to like the president, but you
Exactly.
refer to them as the commander in chief, and respect that. What's funny is that the liberals will say, "Well, no, that's not my president." No, it really actually is, and because he is, you can say the things that you say, like I don't like him, but you can't say it's not. And these kids are getting mixed messages. So when this kid, I'm not quite sure exactly how that situation went down. I've been my brain's been all up in YouTube trying to create stuff and collaborate with people and stuff. So forgive me for not being current on events, but from what I gather on this, yeah, the kids were at fault, and they are only 16. You can't call him a Nazi and say punch him, because your own agenda is what made this child.
No, actually, and that's what kind of what I want to say, because I was kind of thinking about this whole thing. Actually, I wasn't planning to talking about this at all, but Greg sort of brought it up, and now we're talking about it. So I guess it's cool. But I don't think any genuine person is all the way left or all the way right. If you're normal and you have a normal life, you have certain aspects from the left that might appeal to you, and certain aspects from the right. But it seems lately that the left is sort of pushing the agenda that anything right of Stalin is a fucking Nazi. And I don't appreciate being called a Nazi, you know? I
Yeah,
mean, anybody who knows me in real life knows that I'm really open-minded kind of guy, you know, but I'm not open-minded on certain topics. One of them is firearms. I believe you should have the right to bear arms, and I do so proudly. But yeah, you know, I'm sort of on the outside, I might look white, but on the inside, I'm black. You know, so what the hell? You know, you're going to call me Nazi? What is this? You know?
absolutely. Well, how about this? I'm actually half Lebanese, and you would never think that. But when if I were to walk out in public and somebody thought I was Lebanese, I mean, I could imagine that that might be an issue with the way things are out there, because everyone is so segregated into their own little groups under the
Yeah,
liberal agenda.
exactly. The in preference groups, man. And you know, really,
Yeah.
when you know, because I guess you're a Gen Xer just like me. You know, Gen X punk.
Yep.
And I really had hope in the '90s. We were kind of getting past the whole racial thing. You know, the whole and but the thing is, the left and the right, they need sort of an enemy. They need to point the finger at someone to sort of validate their own points of view, and that's what's kind of going on. Because if the left would be really true and say, okay, well, these are the good points, those are the bad points, but on human scale, they can't do that. They have to have some sort of phantom image of the counter opposition in order to validate their own points of view. What do you think about that, man? That this is all constructed. That's what I mean. I think, and also groups like BLM, they're sponsored by Soros, and they get all these funds. It's just crazy, man, because we're not reaching a resolve. We're not reaching any sort of solutions. We're just largening the gaps until something crazy happens, like in was that Charlottesville, where the guy with the Mustang he ran into.
Oh
Yeah,
my God,
that's
that's
the
horrible.
that's going to
Horrible.
happen. But I mean, you can't say everyone right of Stalin is the same way, because you have some tiki torch and carrying assholes.
Yeah. The children that are 16 years old are highly impressionable. They think they know everything, and they're not going to listen to anything but what they want to listen to. So if only things that are out there for them to hear is this, puke that the media is coughing up, and what the school systems are giving them, they're not going to really understand the truth of what things are. And the colleges are, especially the community colleges, are no better as far as the educational system.
Well,
I have children and this is really a frustration for me. And I normally don't talk about politics because I know not everyone's going to agree with my point of view, and that's a fact. I certainly don't agree with everyone else's point of view, and it's really rare that I can find someone that I agree 100% with. But I think
no,
this
but
is.
I mean,
I want
the whole exchange of ideas, and that's part of the problem of what's going on. The debate's out of the window. As soon as you start shouting slurs and accusations at persons, then the debate is gone, and that's my point. Then you'll never reach any sort of solution. I mean, what does the left really want to achieve? That's my question. You know what I mean?
Well, I agree. And what does Kathy Gifford know about freaking, punching a kid? That's ridiculous. That's
Yeah,
about.
that's
That's about.
even beyond. That's like beyond ideology. That's just bad decorum. You know what I mean?
I
That's
can
just
almost
bad
bet you
taste.
1,000% this woman would abort a child in her womb that's like only been there for 6 weeks. I swear these people, they drive me nuts, and I try. Like I said, this is gonna get me so hot. I'm gonna try and back down a little bit. But
No, no, I know. And listen again to the people. Sure, we cover all the IPs and we cover some funny stuff, but we also cover this kind of stuff because hey, our voice is the only thing we have. And as long as I have my little soapbox here, I'm just gonna say what I think. And damn the consequences. I don't care if you flag me or whatever. I speak straight from the heart. I don't have an agenda, and there's a lot of messed up stuff going on. So everybody's kind of frigid about talking about the political stuff. But why do you think we have all these problems in our IPs? It's because the creators, the current generation of creators and sort of producers, they are nihilists. They're all nihilists. They are globalists and nihilists. They don't care about the fandom. They don't care about canon because canon is tradition and has to be deconstructed. Yeah, I mean, there's a reason. It's sort of how do you call it? This whole ideology, it crosses lines, from politics into IPs into the educational system, and it's just all messed up, man.
well,
It's
look
really
at Jeremy Hambley. He gets punched at a Comic Con or whatever it was, Gen Con. I can't remember what
oh, is
con it
that
was.
the quartering? You mean?
Yeah, and then people be wearing and selling shirts. Punch a Nazi, and you've got Kathy Gifford punch a kid because guess what? I think he's a Nazi. This is not the way you handle things. This is not what a person with good morals and ethics. This is not the correct etiquette for
No,
someone like
actually,
that.
that's exactly. In my opinion, as soon as you start punching people, you kind of lost the debate.
Yeah.
And there's this meme going around saying "shout racist," and then you win the argument. Yeah, that's kind of going on. But are you hopeful? I mean, personally, I am a little bit hopeful. I think the pendulum is going to swing. I think people are going to get so sick and tired of being restricted by the thought police that I think we're heading towards a sort of renaissance period where you can say anything, you can joke about anything. It's going to be very creative time with new series, new movies, new books, no comics, And it's just, I think Generation Z, once they come of age, they're going to explode, man, because they're really being restricted by, let's say, millennial generation and certain elements within Generation X. What do you think about this, man? Are you hopeful?
I am hopeful. I am absolutely the epitome of hope because I have children who they won't even consider themselves millennials. They're like, no, no, that's not me. My oldest, she's part of. Well, she was born in '99, so I can't remember what she calls her generation, but she won't say millennial.
Yeah, no, but
Uh,
99 is, yeah, well, I have to look into that, man. I have to look into that.
I
You know,
can't.
but anyway, it's just a label. It's just a label. It
Yes.
doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah, and I think going back all the way back to when you were saying, are we heading for some sort of frigid civil war? I think that you're right on to ask the question. I think you're right to ask the question, but I also think you're right that there's going to be like a renaissance of, you know what, man, that was ridiculous the way people used to act, huh? Yeah, and then you'll have comedians who are allowed to say things again, that are funny. Uh,
Well, of course, it's all sort of codependent on the larger picture. Let's say if the economy does well, there's no large peaks and dips. If you have sort of a steady period, then yeah, people are going to have a little bit more spending cash, and they're going to want better IPs, and they're going to want to talk to their neighbors and whatever, and interact with their community. But yeah, if we get hit by another crisis, another depression, like we did with the Wells Fargo and the banking crisis,
oh
if
yeah.
that happens now, with the level of polarization that's going on, you're going to have a serious problem. You know what I mean?
Oh,
And I blame the mainstream media for a large part because they're just stoking the fire, like Greg said. Oh, the whole revisionist thing. They're just lying. They're lying to us. They're lying
well,
to us.
they're paid to lie to us. They're paid by the people that actually run the world. The people that actually run the world are not the countries. It's the banking,
Exactly.
the pharmaceuticals, it's
Globalists.
oil, and those people make sure that the media that they want to get out to us, the common folk, is uh, it's pre. What's the word I'm looking for? Pre. Well, they just make sure it's what they want before it comes to you. Before you hear it, it's what they want you to hear,
Yeah,
and it's
I saw
programmed.
somewhere that the richest, let's say 20% of the world, they own as much as all of the poor people in the world. That's a pretty scary thought. And I think what the left is kind of doing, the left has sort of joined hands with the globalist, with big money. And
Hmm.
did you hear about? I mean, the whole shutdown thing. That was really sort of a shit show. But there was this really funny story about Nancy Pelosi. She had a sort of a date with the EU officials, and she wanted to take some sort of a governmental aircraft. But since there was a shutdown, she showed up at the airport, and Trump had said, "No, there's a shutdown. You can't go anywhere." So they gave her suitcases back. I mean, that guy, he's the ultimate troll. I think that's
Man,
so funny.
I don't think he ever sleeps. I think he's like Al Pacino in The Devil's Advocate.
Guy's a
Like,
machine. Yeah, he's a machine, man.
yeah, that was a good movie, by the way. Um, I just hope that things level out. You can call it a renaissance. That's a good word, but I hope it levels out to where, you said that the left joined in with the globalists, and that's in a way you're right. But what I think the truth is that they were convinced by the globalists, and that they're just kind of running along like good little lemmings,
No, no, but
like
when
good
we
little
talk about
sheeples.
this guy like Soros, George Soros, I
Hmm.
mean, this guy, he made his money on the world economic market, and all this, instability that he creates. Yeah, his whole, market gambling system. He creates the situations that he gambles on, and people, they don't see it. They think he's an honest ideologist, but he's not. It's a different beast altogether. You know what I mean?
It's
And
all in presentation.
same thing, and that's one of the points I wanted to make regarding Article 13. A lot of people ask me, yeah, why don't you just vote in the right politicians. But the way it is, there's a difference between direct democracy, being you vote in a group of people, and with the big questions to have referenda, and they can get voted out again. But in the system that we have a representative democracy where you vote in a group of people that stay there for X amount of time, let's say 4 to 5 or 6 years. You can't vote them out. All the cockamamie laws they make, you have no influence on. You know what I mean?
Mm.
And that's kind of the problem that's going on here.
I was listening to something, and I do want to recommend this site, this YouTube page to anybody who's listening or wants to look into conspiratorial, anyway, conspiracy stuff. Edge of Wonder.
Conspiratorial.
There you go.
Mofo.
Check out Edge of Wonder. They did a really, really awesome piece. And well, any of their pieces are good. So just check them out. They do a lot of stuff with QAnon. I don't know if anyone out there knows about
Yeah, sure about that. Yeah.
but really good stuff. But they were talking about all this globalist stuff. Gosh, I lost track. But go ahead with what you were saying. But do check that out because it went along with what you were saying. I can't remember.
I kind of lost my track of mind, but I kind of wanted to ask you something else. Have you heard about Project Blue Book? Because I kind of want to, end the stream on a cooking with tinfoil note. Have you
Yes,
heard about Project Blue Book? Do you know what that is?
I do. Yes, I do.
It's the History's new drama series based on true top secret investigations into UFOs and related phenomena. I
Wait,
think,
you're saying it's a new show?
yeah, it's a new show in history, and it's
Uh,
based on the actual investigations.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't know it was a show. I thought you were talking about the actual Project Blue Book. But yes, okay.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
the project Blue Book was the actual investigations, but all the events that are covered in the series, yeah, they are sort of dramatized, but they are actual events. So let's say I think one of the first episodes is called the Gorman event. It's about some sort of squadron pilot in 1948, and he encounters some sort of glowing orb, and he actually has a dogfight with it. Yeah, he calls into a tower, and they don't have any blips on the radar or whatever. He
Right.
engages, but then the globe sort of turns around midair and starts attacking him. That's all like really really creepy stuff. And eventually, the whole thing just sort of zooms off and disappears. And this guy, there's another Air Force officer that actually wrote a book about it, and that's how it
Yep.
got into the project Blue Book. The initial pilot, the Gorman guy, he had a mental breakdown. But my point is, they sort of cover all this stuff, and I think that's so great, man. That's so great because yeah, we were talking about sort of conspiratorial stuff before, but UFOs, that's one thing, man. That's one thing. I mean, just think of the implications, like if they really disclosed all the UFO stuff.
Well, that's funny because that goes way back to ancient Samaria. Again, please do look into that. There's some stuff on YouTube where you can, it's all translated and they discuss it. And, if you just look up Sumerian tablets, you'll find it. But you're right about Project Blue Book. Wow, that was a true historical investigation, a committee put together by, I want to say, Eisenhower or, gosh, I can't remember. But yeah, and then there was another situation that's covered in that. I hope they cover it in the show because I'm just hearing about this show, which sounds great. But it is UFOs over the White House. There is an actual
Oh,
picture of
really?
that.
Really?
Huh? Yeah.
That's that's cool, man. Expand on that. That's really cool because yeah.
Well, I'm actually trying to look up anything about it. But basically, I can tell you what I know. I'll just put my tablet down. UFOs of the White House. Yep. It was the newspaper got a picture of it. There's just like I don't know, 20 of these white dots about going behind the Capitol building, and that was the newspaper picture. And there's actual video of it too. And this was in the 50s. I want to say it was the 50s. But yeah, they investigated. That's one of the reasons that prompted them to create Project Blue Book. But they ended up saying later on, and it turned into another thing, which is called Project Blue Book was found. The ultimate finding was that they said that UFOs aren't real, and it's just there's no evidence to support the idea. So, but in reality, they did find quite a bit out, and they ended up changing their program to something I believe Majestic 12, and
That
that's
sounds like a Western, man. The Majestic 12. No, no, expand on that. That's really cool.
the Majestic 12. It was a group of people, 12 of them, and this in turn was part of some of these people were part of the military-industrial complex, and they ended up, siphoning money out of the budget. So when you hear things like, yeah, the U.S. has lost $30 trillion, and this was around 2001, right before the bombings of the World Trade Center destruction.
Holy hell, man.
This was just days before, I think, or maybe a week, but they had Donald Rumsfeld up on the panel in front of Congress. Hey, where did this $30 trillion go? You can see this on YouTube. You can look it up. It's
Do you
right there.
think
Donald
there's like
Rumsfeld.
a like sort of a deep state cover up with all of this stuff?
Absolutely. And this is nothing I'm making up, and it's nothing that I haven't seen by 10, 12, 30 different people that have corroborated this. Respectable people, pilots, people who were in the Army, the Navy, at the Pentagon, retired generals. This is real stuff, man. And $30 trillion missing.
Yeah.
I remember that was on the television on CNN. And I have to ask you, do you understand how much $30 trillion is? I don't think
Dude,
you do. I don't think nobody really
me,
understands.
Vegas, we could spend it in a weekend, man.
It is everyone on the planet. Yeah, no shit. Everyone on the planet, baby, everyone giving $100 and putting it in an account somewhere.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Everyone on the planet doing that. That's the only way I can think.
Well, actually, if you really look at it from just sort of a pragmatic point of view, I mean, there's so much solar systems and there's so much, galaxies and whatever. And yeah, there's bound to be some sort of intelligent life. And I actually did read. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare this part, but there was some scientist that specialized in astronomy and whatever. And he said we should stop sending out signals into space because you know what happens in a lot of times when a higher evolved society encounters a lower evolved society. Yeah, you kind of get messed up by it. It's like maybe us squashing an ant. If you have a truly, let's say, post light speed society, yeah, we're gonna get messed up. They're just gonna harvest us for resources or whatever. I
Well,
mean,
it's like pulling
we
over.
see everything from the frame of our sort of judo Christian mentality. Like we suppose the best of a certain situation. There's no pragmatism. So actually, the scientist said it's actually really foolish to start having an open line into space. With all that kind of stuff. What do you think about it, man?
I think pulling over on the side of the road to try and communicate with a cow is about the same thought process aliens would have. Instead, we eat cows and we use them as milk resources and such.
Exactly.
And we don't sit there and try to discuss politics with them or how to create a tank. So I think that they look at us much similarly. Maybe a better analogy would be us talking to apes. It's very close. We look very similar. But
talking to apes, that's like a Christmas morning dinner or Christmas dinner. Talking to the simians at Casa Combat.
It's also like the next morning after New Year's when you're hungry. Oh God. But yeah, I think it's just strange to me. Like, if you really have this many planets and this many galaxies in the universe, I mean, yes, of course we're not alone. That's a ridiculous question. And why would the government want to hide it? Well, because we probably wouldn't like the reason that they're here. We probably wouldn't like the fact that we're actually being controlled, or maybe we're an experiment, and if we fuck this up, we're going to get blasted off the planet, and they'll just start their experiment over. I don't know.
Okay, that's the thing I really like about the alien Prometheus. Have you seen the Prometheus movie?
Absolutely.
And first, I thought it was sort of garbage. Halfway 2000s garbage. But then I've been watching it a lot lately, and this whole idea of a higher evolved society that sort of planted a DNA stem, and I thought it was just really cool. I really respect. I think we should do a whole entire sort of series of streams about the Alien movies and the whole Prometheus and Covenant movies. What do you think about that, Flip? Would you be interested in that?
Yes, I would. I love Ridley Scott's versions, and I also love the Prometheus, and man, I just love the aliens. Yeah, as
I
far as
heard
those
that the
movies.
first Aliens movie was the same writer who did RoboCop and uh, something else. I don't know. Anyway, my point is, a lot of these late '70s, early '80s movies, they were pretty damn good, especially when you compare them to the tribe that's being put out today. I mean, did you see Botox Box?
No, what's
Bird,
that?
Bird Box. Did you see the Bird Box? I call it Botox Box
Oh,
because of
okay.
what's her face, the actress. Oh my God, I can't even recognize her, man.
my,
But
my daughter wants me to watch it. Yeah, she kept asking me last night. Can we watch Bird Box?
well, you can watch it, but I wouldn't recommend it. That's all I say. But anyway, my point was, so all these '80s movies, they were actually pretty good, and the '70s movies, they had something going, man. I think that's an invite. That's a date, man. You and me, we're gonna review the whole aliens thing. I've been playing Alien Isolation, that Xbox game. Do you know it?
Yes, I actually have it, and I got to the part where I'm on board the ship, and I've actually done everything I can do, and I'm walking back and forth through the ship trying to figure out where the hell I'm supposed to go. I got lost, and I'm not
Yeah, they
sure where to
don't
go.
really have a navigator in the game. That's really, you don't really know where you are because all the corridors, they kind of look the same. But the
It's a
thing that
fun
I
game
do,
otherwise.
because I'm an old fart, I'm an old geezer, so I'll just put on YouTube and I'll cheat by watching someone do the whole gameplay. That's the way I do it. But I still have fun. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I think it's one of the scariest and the coolest games around because they actually kind of capture the whole vibe of the movies, like with the faulty video equipment and the static, and just the whole way the interiors look. I think it's an excellent game, and I really love it. I really dig it. I recommend it. And then that's one thing I didn't really get into in the previous streams, but you have that pay to play game for the mobile app. That's Alien Isolation 2. That thing is a travesty, man. Have you heard about that?
I haven't heard about that one.
Well, it's supposed to be sort of a sequel to the Alien Isolation, but it's mobile platform exclusively, so it's not for PCs or any of the consoles. And in essence, the company that uses the IP is just a frame for pay to win. So you have to, pay in-game shit in order to continue with the gameplay, so to speak. I think that's just bullshit, man. They do that with so much stuff nowadays, and they did it in
Pay to play.
Battlefield. It's amazing.
Yeah, I pay to play is just not the way. I mean, it just simply isn't. One day, I think for the phones, it almost works better than it would anywhere else. But still, I think it's. I find phone games. Sorry, I find phone games like a waste of my time. They don't interest me. I don't know why. Swiping. I liked the Angry Birds for a minute. I liked the Ninja Fruit game. That was a lot of fun, but it doesn't hold my interest. You know.
Well, I have a really special relationship with games. Or with phones, I mean, I have a flip phone because I don't want to, like a smartphone. I don't want it, man. I just want a phone to make phone calls with. I don't want anything else. I don't need the distraction. I don't want to stare at scream all day, And I see so many people like in public. They're just looking at their phones, and they're all like phone zombies, Actually,
Yeah.
digital pollution. Jess, I just want to say, guy, we're kind of wrapping it up, man. I'm sorry. I'll dedicate a whole stream to you the next time, but you kind of missed the fun, man, because both me and Flip and Greg, he already had to go, but we were kind of on a time budget. But I promise you, Jess, next time it's you and me, mate. We'll do a whole, I don't know, we'll do something. Judge Dredd, Brexit, it's your thing. Sorry, Flip.
You're good. I just posted. Well, I didn't have a link, but look up Edge of Wonder Secret Space Program. That is the
Yeah,
video
cool, guys.
feedback.
And also, I'll post some links when we're done check out the Project Blue Book History Channel TV show. And also, there's a new YouTuber called Richard Dolan, and this guy is actually an historian and conspiracy theory analyst. And so he specializes in all this UFO stuff. But this is a guy that actually, they pay him for his input on documentaries and TV shows and whatever. Check it out, Richard Dolan and Project Blue Book, because that's the good stuff. And Flip, I want to
Yeah.
really, I appreciate it so much you were on the stream, man. I really had a good time. I think we have a sort of a natural rapport, you know.
Yeah.
If
Absolutely.
the stuff we talked about before, I don't know, was pre-stream or during the stream, if you want to have like sort of a core group of guys to stream with, we could do like a sort of a low council. We'll do the low council. There'll be you, me, and two other guys. We'll be the low council. What do you think? Is that a good idea?
It's a good idea, but someone else had the low council idea. I think it was Angus. So
okay, and we'll do Flip's Donkey Show.
Flip the donkey. Oh man, that sounds fun.
Hey, and before we sign out, I want to address General Cartan, and I just want to say, Ella Lavetti Yati Denisero. Ticanisere. Perimene Ola Tovraria. Okay, next time, General Cartan, you're in there, yeah?
Cool. I hope that was a nice thing you just said.
No, it's just I asked him where he was. A little hobby I picked up in the lobby, you know.
I got. Hey, I do. If you don't mind, I just want to show people this for a second. Is that okay?
No, I'm stopping the stream right now. Go ahead.
All right. So I actually I gotta switch my camera around. Gosh, how do I do that? How do I turn the camera? Oh, here it is. Hold on. Here we go. Oh, well, damn it. What happened? Never mind. I lost it.
No, there it is. Google. I see Google.
Oh, here it is. Okay. So this right here is my merchandise site,
You're gone.
areyouSure.com.
Now you're here.
Yep. And then I have these shirts right here.
Are you shirting me? Yeah, that's such a great name. I completely endorse Flipped Out on this, man. That's good stuff.
And then I also have all kind of socks and stretchies and stuff. And my favorite right here is the black t-shirt, in case you're interested.
I see leggings.
Yeah, leggings. There you go. Stretchy pants, leggings. I can never figure out the name.
Can of bliss, man. Have a token smile. I completely endorse that, man, for sure. Hey, by the way, just before we close off, have you seen Murder Mountain on Netflix?
I haven't. Sounds cool, though.
Yeah, Murder Mountain. It's about the Golden Triangle, the whole weed and cannabis stuff in Northern California and Oregon. And that's like the last frontier. The pioneers of the Wild West, they all went there. It was a whole region where they grew weed and people got shot and this and that. It's really interesting. Watch Murder Mountain on Netflix, guys. That's really great stuff. Anyway, I'm wrapping up. I had a great time. I want to thank everybody that's been in the chat. And I also want to thank Greg and Flip. You guys are awesome, man. It was cool. I had a lot of fun.
I had a great time, man. Appreciate you having me.
So that's it from Six Skill Combat. I want to sign out. And guys, have a great weekend. And I hope to see you all soon. And hold on.